Broadcast, it's taking the world by storm. People are cutting the cord to their high cable bills and moving away from streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, and others for something better. Q Broadcast. For just $60 a month, you'll get access to every channel you could ever want, including HBO, Cinemax, and Starz. And the best part? There are no contracts, no hidden fees, and you're free to cancel anytime. With Q Broadcast, you can enjoy streaming live TV, movies, and top series on up to 5 devices at once. Whether you're at home or on the go, Q Broadcast makes sure your entertainment is always at your fingertips. Imagine being able to watch all your favorite channels from anywhere, anytime, without any restrictions. We're talking about thousands of movies, hundreds of TV series, and a huge library of live channels, all in one place. And don't forget video on demand and pay-per-view events. Those are included at no extra cost, so you'll never miss a big event again. Now, take a second and think about your current cable bill. You're probably paying anywhere between $100 and $300 every month, locked into long-term contracts and hit with surprise rate increases. With Q Broadcast, that's a thing of the past. It's just $60 a month. No contracts, no extra fees, no hidden costs, and no price hikes. Why juggle multiple subscriptions like Netflix, Hulu, and cable when Q Broadcast gives you everything you need in one convenient package? People everywhere are switching to Q Broadcast, saving money and getting more content than ever before. So, what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description and sign up for Q Broadcast today. Just $60 a month, no contracts, no hidden fees. It's time to take control of your entertainment and start streaming smarter.
We live in a world where men are told it's harmless. It's just entertainment. But let's stop lying to ourselves. Pornography destroys. It weakens your spirit. It dulls your drive. And it robs you of what real intimacy is supposed to be. Every click is a step away from the man you're supposed to be. We can't call ourselves leaders if we are slaves to a screen.
As someone that is prior service, I know all about discipline. And discipline isn't out there, it's within your mind. Porn rewires your brain, weakens your will, wrecks all of your relationships. It doesn't just stay on a screen, it invades your marriage, your confidence, and your actual purpose. As men, if we don't learn to discipline ourselves, we'll be ruled by our impulses. Now, it is time to stand up and take control before this silent war takes more than you're willing to lose.
Real men don't hide in the shadows of shame. We step up and we protect what's ours. We fight for our wives and kids, our own hearts. Twitter isn't just an app, it's a weapon. It's a tool used to break free and start living like the man that you're meant to be. The battle's here and it starts with you. You can stop living in shame and you can break free today.
Here at the Anomic Age, we know that these times of uncertainty are stressful. It is incumbent upon all of us to put our fears first and bow down to government tyranny. Gone are the days of freely leaving your home, working, and social interactions. In exchange for safety, we will trade liberty. At the Anomic Age, we understand. However, just in case you want to get off your knees and stop being a sniveling coward, check out the John Age Project at anomicage.com.
Meet Ann Morrissey, who is here with her daughter, Dareth. Dareth is 17 years old. Mrs. Morrissey, I don't have to tell you that most parents would be extremely depressed if their daughter came home one day looking like this? I assume that was your response shock, anger, depression? What was it?
I was extremely angry. I really went bananas.
Yeah, how old was she when this happened?
Possibly 13, 14 years old.
We're talking like it's a disease, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah. How did she explain it to you, Mrs. Morrison?
there was very poor communication until we went into counseling. And it almost broke up our family. But through counseling and Serena, I can understand it better.
What do you understand?
That she feels like she doesn't want to be like everyone else, and she wants to be her own person. And through the dress code and her lifestyle, she's expressing this. It doesn't conform with our rules, but we're learning to cope, and it's a very, very difficult thing. Extremely difficult.
Dareth, let's let you talk for yourself. You're from Long Beach, California.
I just can't handle being like everybody else because that's what everybody else wants, you know. Just because somebody else does something does not mean that I have to do it. You know, I have my own morals and ideals, and I go by them.
Are you drug-free, Dareth?
Yes, I am.
Is this a political statement, then? Do you have some misgiving about the society that you see?
Yeah, there's a lot of problems, you know. A lot of the people are really aware of what's going on, you know, and I don't like it, you know. There's a
You
lot
don't
of
like
problems.
what?
I don't like the way society is based.
What bothers you? Give us some of the misgivings you have.
The rich, the poor, the people starving, the wars, you know. Why can't, you know, everybody just get along and just live their life?
You know something is wrong, and it's time to stand up. You are listening to The John Age Show.
Trust no one. Trust no one. Trust no one.
You found it. You're here. You're headlong down the runaway train that is the Anomic Age, and I am your host, John Age. Happy to be back with you once again in the not-so-wee hours of the PM. Hailing proudly from the coastal plains of the Old North State, I'll be your tour guide this afternoon as we take a somewhat satirical journey down the path of murder, destruction, mayhem, and the extermination of human life on this planet, a forced march into obsolescence thrust upon us by a global satanic death cult of pedophiles. So much to get into. Please check out Anomic Age. Oh, Smarties, every time you think it's going to be something right, it's not. Let's run that again. I'm going to run it again. There we go. So there. Please check out anomicage.com if you've not already done so. Like all the likes, subscribe to all the subscriptions. PayPal.me/anomicage, Patreon.com/anomicage as well. Please consider becoming a patron, making a donation, or otherwise just supporting the show any way you can. I'm going to break this sucker in a minute, I tell you. I just know that's what's going to happen. Oh, my gracious goodness sakes alive. Anyway, yeah, can't say it enough. PayPal.me/anomicage, Patreon.com/anomicage as well. Support the show. If you can do no more, just share the links. I know you can do that, right? Anyway, yeah. Check out anomicage.com. We got a lot to get into today. It's going to be episode 387 information breakdown segment. This is entitled American Soap Opera Sideshow. Because when you look at things, I swear, we are in more of a sideshow than you might believe, folks. Gracious. That's why I came up here with the old school Days of Our Lives. Like sand through the hourglass, so goes the days of our lives. I don't know if we'll cover it all. I'm going to try to keep this 30 minutes, but I have a feeling we're going to go over the 30-minute allotment of time. Don't worry, I'm not on YouTube. I haven't been on there for a couple years. I can't get back on the Facebook because I guess I've been naughty until maybe the 6th of next month, but I'm sure they'll just move the goalpost when that date arises. And of course, I'm not one of the chosen few blue check mark brigade of boobs, so I guess I can't live stream on Twitter either. Which brings me to my point. If you'd like to put my content on all those things and just make me giggle, please do that. Put my content on each and every single one of those platforms. I know people still got some YouTube platforms out there, so put my content on there and make me laugh inside. Okie dokie. So this kind of came to me the other day, as of course, as I was putting on my Solidarity for Trump earpiece, And maybe I should do a Solidarity for Biden mask, too, because, he's got the COVID, apparently, right? So we should mask up again, Americans, and they keep sort of dangling the carrot of this bird flu over our heads. Anyway, I choose to be in solidarity with the great one, our Lord and Savior, Donald J. Trump, of course, right? So I'm gonna do this earpiece thing, just like a good slave would, I hesitate, but then I don't. Here, I'm gonna put this on the screen too, because it makes me laugh. Yeah, this one. This one's going on the screen now. Yeah, I posted this a few days ago, and someone asked why. I didn't respond, but I really don't ever respond. But I couldn't understand if it was why was I drawing this parallel or why were people this stupid. I don't know. So anyway, why? I ask why too. Why are people this brain dead, gullible, and otherwise just low-grade moron, room temperature intellect stupid? I don't know. It blows my mind why the American people would play make-believe and wear a solidarity bandage like Nelly did for 5 or 6 years for his friend in prison. I mean, that makes no sense, but this makes no sense either. Like, there's no actual tie between the cult of personality, like hypnagogic mind effect that seems to have taken over the American people. It just blows me away, man. I mean, I could get behind Nelly wearing a Band-Aid for his friend in prison because at least they were friends and they had a connection and a real legitimate thing. Like this is that parasocial relationship that I've touched on in this show, there's so many times. The parasocial relationship where people feel that they have a bond and connection and a real relationship with fictitious people. This first was coined when people were having these relationships with movie stars, and you had the crazy, was it John Hinckley supposedly, had that sort of parasocial relationship with Jodie Foster. You've seen this a million times over with a million different faces on the screen. And then it became more and more of a thing when you had reality TV and you got into the realm of social media where people began building these weird catfish relationships and parasocial relationships even more and more and more. And I suppose at the end of the day, I just answered my why. I think that is the why. Because the Overton window has moved so far and the American psyche has been so manipulated and wounded by these trauma-based mind control events that's what we're doing. I guess it does make sense, man. I just answered my own question. It makes perfect sense, really, because we've been fed trauma for so long, following the MK Ultra mind control subjects and following that sort of methodology from Operation Paperclip and the Nazis. Like, that's just old hat now. So everything that we just saw last week, I guess, with the Trump event is everything that we've seen JFK, RFK, MLK, more. How'd the song go I did the last time? JFK, MLK, RFK 2. John Lennon and Reagan, just to name a few. Yeah, it's been the same sort of diatribe of trauma-based mind control. So I guess at the end of the day, it leaves the victims in much the state that the American people are in right now, where they will put on a bandage in solidarity for someone that doesn't even know they exist. It's weird, man. It's weird, but I think as a mechanism of overcoming it, you have to acknowledge it. You've got to acknowledge that you've been duped. Like the Nigerian email scam, first you've got to acknowledge that it's a scam and you got scammed. The road to recovery. First you've got to admit that you got a problem. If you can't admit you got a problem, then you can't move on and face the problems and overcome the problems. If you can't admit there's a blipping problem. So therein lies the problem with the American people. They can't even admit that there's a dadgum problem. They're still going, the election's going to work this time. It didn't work last time. It'll work this time. The shot didn't work this time, but it'll work next time. Like, that's the insanity that we live in is just an extension of that trauma-based mind control thing that I've been just hammering for years now on this show. Oh, my gracious. But that really wasn't what I wanted to get into today. I wanted to get into the soap opera that is American culture. And I didn't do my own due diligence. I did not look up when they finally took all the soap operas off the air. I'm sure there's probably one out there. I don't know if there is. I really don't know. But when I was a kid, and I'm going to do a whole other episode on this, on the television programs, Gen X versus Boomers versus where we are now, because I think that is so integral to this whole thing. And a lot of people are going to miss what I'm saying here, but you'll catch it when I do another show on it. But the soap opera has existed for a long time in American culture. But I would submit to you that it was at its zenith in the 1980s. The soap operas were everywhere. You had Days of Our Lives. You had General Hospital. You had Knots Landing. Was that one of them? I can't remember if that was a thing. That was a show. May not have been soap opera. I don't know, man. There was so many. I didn't watch any of them, so I was a little kid. But I recall my grandparents watching Days of Our Lives, and I think their thing was General Hospital. They like General Hospital, but anyway, back to the point at hand here. We've absolutely become a generation that's just obsessed with this mess. Let me take care of something. I got just one thing. Just give me about 2 seconds, ladies. 2 seconds. Okay, that's much better. That's much better. I was spying a problem with the lights, and I had to fix it because it was going to drive me crazy. But anyway, back to the 80s being the zenith of soap opera TV, of which I believe it would be, consider that. When they began taking these shows off the air in the 2000s, and I think they're pretty much all gone now, could be mistaken, I think that left a void for people. And what that void was filled by was the drama of politics. If you look around that same time, you saw the rise of Fox News. I don't think that's a coincidence. So as these shows began to drop off the radar, and also I would fill in this, the talk shows and the soap operas. I think I slipped up there. But the talk shows and the soap operas both began to fall off at about the same time. I mean, there used to be a whole show called Talk Soup that just talked about the talk shows. But as these began to fall, I believe it left a void and pick up the ball and start running with it. You had Fox News. You began to see the daytime pundits really taking over at CNN and the like. And you began to see that the soap opera was no longer just a fictional event. I would submit to you that the politics is vastly a fictional event, but that's another story for another time. as you began to see one fall, the other begins to wax as the other wanes. And that's exactly what's up, folks. I think we live right now, 2024, year of our Lord, in a soap opera-driven society, just as we did in the 80s. But now the soap opera has taken the manifestation of the nonfiction, allegedly, with the political soap opera that we see now. And I see this every day, all day. And I'm not trying to poke fun at people in this demographic because it transcends this demographic. But I think it really plays and pays into the demographic of the baby boomers, perhaps more than anyone. Because, sad but true, they're taking that mantle of what my grandparents were when I was a little kid in the 80s. So they are that mantle now in the 2000s, the 2000 teens or 2024, whatever you want to say, you know. So there's no talk shows to fill that void. There's no soap operas to fill that void. So what people digest now, 8 days a week and twice on Sunday, is the soup du jour of comedy known as the political landscape in America. So I think these events are just the same as the things that we would have seen in the soap operas, folks. They're just as far-fetched. They're just as fantastic and unbelievable. And just as people bought into the bull in the 80s, they're buying into the bull in the 2000s and beyond. I mean, it's so comical if you look back at some of the soap opera things. I won't get into all of them. I mean, I remember when I was real little, like Luke and Laura was the big thing. And if I'm not mistaken, like Luke, it ended up drugging or raping Laura, and then they get together, and the big storyline was how they got married, and, you know, somebody would die off on the show, but they weren't really dead. Somebody'd get hit with a coconut. Oh my gosh, they got amnesia. And then the whole show is predicated on, oh, they've got their memory back. And, oh, that person that was dead has come back from the grave. They weren't really dead. I mean, it was the most fantastical, nonsensical bunk. And now that's just been replaced with this mess. I could go on a total tirade and discuss the abject comedy of the political landscape, but I don't think I need to do that. Like, we all get it, right? I'm preaching to the choir here, I'm pretty sure. We had the Secret Service lady resign today. I was mispronouncing her name. Kimberly Chettle, I think, is the correct pronunciation of her name. I completely blanked on this other lady because I just quit caring. What in the heck was her name? Let me see. Oh, for phooey's sakes, this is going to bug me. Just bear with me a moment, because I need to know this person's name, and I didn't put it in there. Oh, for heaven's sakes. This is just preposterous. Well, I'm going to do a whole nother show, I guess, because I can't find out this one boob's name. And I'm not even going to report on it because that'll be ridiculous. Well, you know what? We're going to do it one way or the other. We're going to find out this lady's name. This is the one, my heavens to Murgatroyd. Sheila Jackson. I thought that was her name. I just didn't want to misspeak. So Miss Sheila Jackson, who just died a couple days ago of cancer, allegedly, at 74, she was allegedly the person that was actually behind the Secret Service stand-downs, missteps, and otherwise goofs that old Chattel finally resigned for. I don't know why it took me so long to do that. I knew that name, and that's what was coming up in my brain. I just didn't want to tell you that and then give you the wrong information. Somebody try to fact-check me. Oh, don't do it. Oh, fact-check me. Oh, my gosh, I'm so scared. So Sheila Brown was allegedly the person that was actually behind this. Oh my gracious goodness, she dies at 74 years old of cancer. And I guess we'll just take it at face value that that's what happened. That's all that happens, right? Why not? So there's that. What else is in the news that's hilarity? Biden stepping down. He hasn't been seen for days. Oh, don't worry, he's got COVID. Some mysterious flight back to D.C. The plane shook. Oh, my. And then the signatures don't match. And some of this is so shallow into the pool, you got to go, what? Yeah, the signatures don't match. Guess what? The man hasn't matched for years, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages. Have you not seen this mess? The dude ain't the same dude that he was 5 years ago. It's not the same guy. I'm sorry. This just ain't him, man. The earlobes, the eyes, the chin, the profile, none of that matches. You're not going to tell me that this is the same guy. I'm sorry. But yet you've still got people, oh, the signatures don't match. I mean, they could have ran a black guy out there, and there'd still be people going, you know, the signatures don't match. I don't think that he really signed this. It's just, it is beyond the pale funny at some points in the game, ladies and gentlemen. I want to throw this up there again, because I didn't do this as well as I wanted to last time, but by gracious, I'm going to do it better this time. Because I touched on this, and I talked about this boob. And I talked about him last time. Oh, this is the alleged shooter, in case you missed it. Yeah. Let me straighten. There you go. Alleged Trump shooter. So this is the guy. And I talked about this last time because I talked about this in regards to why do they always show the children? Yeah, Thomas Matthew Crooks. Wanted to make sure I didn't get any of his names wrong. Thomas Matthew Crooks. Goodness gracious. We got Lee Harvey Oswald. We got Thomas Matthew Crooks. You pick it up on that they always have to have the same, you know, two names that they're always going by. Thomas Matthew Crooks. Anyway, this dude, or allegedly a dude, ding, 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 ding. They always want to show these boobs in their little middle school pictures, as look how harmless they are. They did this with Trayvon Martin. I remember watching Inside the NBA, and they were discussing the Trayvon Martin incident. Remember when that was all the vogue and all the rage, and all the clamoring clowns had to talk about it? Trayvon, poor little Trayvon. And they showed some middle school picture of this guy, and they refrained from showing the actual person at the actual time of the event. You know what I'm saying? And this is a new manifestation that was really only occurring in the 2000s. Okay? So even when the David Koresh thing was going down, they didn't show David Koresh as like a middle school kid. Yeah, when Lee Harvey Oswald, they didn't show Lee Harvey as a freaking middle school kid. John Wilkes Booth. I mean, all the great patsies over time, they didn't show just this little middle school, elementary school picture, because that wasn't the prescribed narrative of the day. In the 2000s, we saw this with Trayvon and all the way down with Say Her Name, Breonna Taylor, and all these other little infants. You would have them, you know, the American public would believe that these were just little infants that just, oh my gracious, it's just a small baby that just, I don't know what happened. Anyway, so here's the guy, the Trump shooter. Here's him in middle school, 8th grade. And then here's the same clown on the right in a more recent picture. But don't worry, these are the hard-to-find pics. The 8th grade pic, I mean, I guess that's just, you're finding that like candy at a parade all over the internet. This mess with him all trannied up, yeah, that's hard to find, I guess. Doesn't fit the narrative. Days of our lives like sand through the hourglass. So goes the days of our lives. What else kind of hoopla and hilarity do we got going on? Oh, my gosh. Apparently, I'm not a cool person because apparently this clown, Mr. Beast, who I guess is the greatest thing since Jesus on the internet. I don't know. He's in some hot water for, again, having some tranny around kids or pushing some sort of mess. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care. Don't matter to me. It don't fit any kind of narrative as it relates to my bottom line. So whatever Mr. Beast is doing, okie dokie. People are shocked. Like, oh my gosh, his name's Mr. Beast. Come on. Good grief. Oh my gosh. People just can't seem to put the puzzle pieces together. It's like one of those puzzles for a baby. And you remember the board puzzles? I remember the one that had like 3 animals on it, and you had to sort of pick the animal and put it in one of the 4 shapes, like a kitten, a dog, and a chick and a cow or something. The American people are just struggling with this. What in the world? You mean Mr. Beast is bad? What? You mean Biden may not have really signed his form? What? I'm still voting. You mean there may be some sort of deep state operation? What? You gotta laugh, ladies and gentlemen. You gotta laugh. And speaking of laughing, I want to do this just to make fun of more people. Because, after all, we all have to. We've got to trust the plan, ladies and gentlemen. This is so wild, man, that I think since the Q psyop of a few years ago, and since all that, came to the fruition of Butkus, and all those clowns should have been left with egg on their face, but somehow they just sort of like fell back into the shadows, like that old meme of Homer Simpson just kind of falling back into the shrubs. All the cute idiots just kind of did that. Oh my, there's nothing. No, it's all a bunch of hooey. But they're back. They're back, I tell you. And I posted this making fun of it. I took this from someone else, but I was making fun of the hilarity of it. And then lo and behold, I swear to you, I saw someone else posting this for real with like other little drops, Q drops, I'm sure, of how this was all some big plan. Anyway, so the greatest president in American history, Joe Biden, he steps down on National Ice Cream Day. Doo, 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 doo. That's what I put all this mess on. Oh my goodness, the Q people are having a seizure right now. Oh my goodness gracious, it's all got to be connected to something deeper. And, that's not the real Joe Biden because they killed him years ago in a secret trial in Guantanamo, and he's there with Hillary and Obama and Valerie Jarrett and Rahm Emanuel and Saddam Hussein or whatever, like it's the comedy of all comedies here. But I think the Q joke level nonsense also affected the people that weren't complete mental patients. And now you've got like the mainstream, or I guess you could call them that, the blue blood Republicans or whatever, like they're going for the same sort of bunk. They're like, look, the signatures don't match. And it's like, that's not even a cute, that's just like like the sun's hot, like that's not even something that you should go like, look how blasphemous this is. It's like, they're rubbing this in your face, folks. They are making this a humiliation ritual on all levels. But the joke's on you. Like the humiliation ritual is, will the American people buy this malarkey? The answer is always yes. And so the American people at large are having their noses rubbed in the brown stuff. So it's a huge humiliation ritual, just as all these different events like the shooting and the like are a huge trauma-based mind control event. That's what these things are, man. I was listening to the audio specifically, but watching the whole thing of the assassination attempt a few hours ago. And it's almost scripted just like a horror movie. It's so scripted that you kind of wonder, is it all scripted, or is it the fact that the American people have just indulged themselves in so much fakery that they just kind of go along with what they are expected to do in such an event, if that makes any sense to anyone out there. So it's kind of like when they report on suicides, there's an uptick in suicides. When they report on domestic violence, there's more domestic violence. So at a certain degree, it is monkey see, monkey do. It's like hardwired psychology that people go, I better do this. So, like everything that happened, it seemed like such a very well orchestrated scream in the midst of all that trauma-based mind control operation. It was just like right out of a horror movie. Ever watch any horror movie and you're going to hear like that sort of scream in the horror movie. It's like, oh my, the killer's coming. Ah, like this horrible, like long shrieking scream, like you're being like ripped apart. So I couldn't help but notice just the obviousness of it. You know, somebody's gonna say, well, that's what happens and so forth and so on. I'm like, okay, maybe so. Maybe so. That's all I'm gonna say. Maybe so. I'm going to leave it at that. But here we go. As far as the Q drops, you know, I'm hoping that people will really take and run with this because, of course, it's National Ice Cream Day. You got old Joltin' Joe up there with his ice cream, and that's what you would expect, right? And it draws a lot of comparisons. I know folks like Alex Jones have drawn these comparisons forever. But you see Warren Buffett always pictured with an ice cream. You see Joe always with his ice cream. And most recently, I saw some clip of J.D. Vance on, I don't even know what podium he was at, one of these boob fests where people pay attention to stuff that doesn't matter. But he was up there talking about how he drank 2 Mountain Dews in a day or something. And I was like, oh my gosh. It's so funny. It's so comical that the people just fall for this dribble. Just dribble, ladies and gentlemen. It was more legitimate when these people were just the phonies that they are. I remember hearing about this in maybe the mid-90s. I don't even remember. But it came out, and it was regarding Old Man Bush. And it was a report basically of him saying, like, he didn't know how to buy his own groceries. Like, he didn't know the process of going through a store and buying groceries and having, scan in the barcodes and all this and paying with things. Like, he was that disconnected from reality that he just didn't know what was up. Like, he didn't do that. And I think the honesty in that is something that people need to witness and take in and internalize and go, yo, they aren't you. No matter what the situation is, the American people, and I always say that because this is the people that I'm talking to here. This is what I am, my audience. I care about the American people. Sorry, other countries. That's what I'm targeting here. But, the American people have this stupid disconnect where they believe their own best intentions are going to be mirrored in these political boobs, no matter what. And I think it's right and left. I mean, you could say the people on the left are just brain dead and they support abortion and murder and Satanism. True. But at a certain thing, I think that they believe their own ideology and they expect their demagogues, the politicians, to mirror that ideology. And they don't. And I think the right is equally culpable here because they expect their demagogues, their politicians on the right, to mirror their ideology and to mirror their lifestyle, and they don't. So I do often think of those points from Old Man Bush saying, like, yo, I don't know how to use anything like normal. Like, I don't buy stuff at the store. What are you talking about? But he's been so entrenched, or I say he at that time, had been so entrenched for decades and decades and decades. Like, that wasn't his world. Like, just as foreign as it is for me to go into like a nuclear power plant and know how to use anything in the control room. Like, I do know zero about that, okay? So as foreign as that is to me, it was as foreign to him just how to do basic tasks as a human in America in, early mid-90s at that point. And people need to really digest that disconnect because they need to break that bond that they perceive to have with these people. They don't operate like you, folks. They just don't. It's a comedy that people believe that they do. So when you saw J.D. Vance coming out talking about drinking Mountain Dew a couple times, like, please, Lord, please give us strength in this time of suffering. Because that's just as stupid as Hillary Clinton years ago going out and trying to do her redneck voice when she was talking to constituents in the South. I don't know no learnings and I like to eat at the Waffle. You know, like, please, folks, please don't be that stupid. Please don't be that dumb. So when you see these boobs with their ice cream cones and talking about eating the same mess as you, I want you to try to think of it this way. Because I'm sure there's hunters out there in my audience. Think of it this way. When you're out hunting for whatever you're hunting for, I bet you're probably wearing camouflage to try to blend in. Am I ringing any bells for you yet? You're wearing camouflage to try to blend in with your prey so you can get closer to them to kill them. Okay? So these people that you perceive to be like you aren't like you. They're pretending and playing make-believe, ladies and gentlemen. They're not flying coach. They're not even flying first class. Because I know somebody says, I've got a boat and a couple of houses. I'm doing real well. Folks, these people have planes. They own islands. They're not your people, folks. They're not like you. They're not on your side. They're playing make-believe to try to con you. Okay? Please don't be that stupid. Please don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. It makes everyone look dumb when you do that. But anyway, I'm sure the Q people are going to fall for this one. You know, it's a conspiracy. Oh, it's really, there's some, look at that guy in the back. See, that's really a Hare Krishna wearing a robe in the back. And this is Obama over here. And you got a Hare Krishna in the back. And there's 3 limbs on that tree. You know what that signifies, don't you? Well, if you don't, you know, what did you see? I'm going to post this video. What did you see? What did you see in the video? What did you see in this picture? It's so tired of that bogus malarkey, folks. It's comedy. Comedy, folks. Comedy. Okay. So that's really the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen. We are falling into the casualty vampires, the soap opera mentality. And I've talked to so many people lately, and they just want to talk to me about the election, and they want to talk to me about this assassination. And it's all just distraction, folks. It's just distraction. This is all a bunch of hooey. It don't make a fruitcake whether Trump and Hillary run on the same ticket. Okay? I'm breaking big news here, I know, but if you're kissing a wall in another country, it's not America first. It's just not. Okay? So if you're sleeping with your neighbor's wife, it can't be your family first or your wife first. It can't, because you just put somebody else in that picture. You feel me? Is that making sense to everybody that's believing in soap opera nonsense? So the whole world is a stage, as old Billy Shakespeare said, and we're all just players upon it. And the sad truth is most people are just buying into the soap opera mentality because they don't have the soap operas on TV anymore. Same thing with wrestling. Like, wrestling's such a joke that the men folk are falling into the soap opera too. And the men folk are falling into the soap opera of the sports media morons. And I think it's always a weird time when you're in between seasons, as we are now, because the football season's not here yet, basketball season's not here yet. So you've got this lull where it's the Olympics, which nobody cares about, and it's baseball, which I don't think anybody really cares about, since it's the steroid home run race from about 20 years ago. Who cares? I mean, all those things have been proven, in my opinion, even in the public eye, to be just a joke. I mean, they should have been obviously just a joke even before that. But I think for many people, after that, you should have been like, okay, well, this is a bunch of just total hooey, right? Total tomfoolery. So I think, especially in election years, you have this beautiful window in which you always see a ramp up of stupid BS, which is what we're seeing now. It's just like the ramp up of stupid BS. Who's going to take the helm? Is Biden really alive? Is it going to be, what is that, Hyena Dummy? Or is it going to be Big Mike? You know, like that's where we're at here. And that's what people are talking about. And they're missing the forest for the trees again. In real life here, this mess don't make a hooey, ladies and gentlemen. It just doesn't, folks. I mean, and I'm trying to say this to give people a little hope at the end, because I rarely do that. And I put that in my show notes here. I said, we will also get into the various versions of you and how, no, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong doggone thing here. That's not even what the heck I was supposed to tell you. That was a show that hasn't even happened yet. My gracious goodness sakes alive. Well, I know where it is. It's right over here on this God-blessed screen. I'm sorry, folks. The things today have just gone from dumb to dumber. But I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm going to talk about exactly what I told you I was going to talk about. And I'll give it to you right now, just like this. There we go. I knew I could do it. Finally, we will try to break down alternatives to the national pastime of slumber. So no matter what, I'm going to pull this off. I don't give a fruit bat if it's a 2-hour show. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here in the end. Is there an alternative to this? Well, to give you some communist jargon, and I'll couple it with a little Christian jargon. So the communists would say, you got to have agency, man. Proletariats, bourgeoisie, bruh. Clash of civilizations. Class war now. We want our agency. Well, you have your agency, dummy. Okay? And the Christian model is going to say, you got free will, bruh. Free will, man. Christ gives you free will. Okay, you got your free will, moron. Bing, bada, ding, 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 ding. Okay? So you do have agency and free will. So in my opinion, from all the things that have been given today, you've got sort of two different roads to follow. You've got sort of the active participant and the inactive participant role here. So I think those are really the two ways you got to go about this. You can be an active participant in this thing. And you can say, all right, I'm going to do whatever it is that's counter this mess. The inactive participant is just going to sit there and do the casualty vampires thing, that great circle jerk song that I've talked about many times. Casualty vampires, craning their necks. Casualty vampires, just sitting there watching the casualty happen. Those would be the inactive. Then you've got the active participants. Those are going to be the people that are actually understanding of what's going on. They see it's a sham, a con, a hustle, a dodge, and they're going to try to do something different. That's the active participant role here. So you can go about this in more of a passive way or an active way. So even in that active participant role, there's still sort of two sides of that coin. You can withdraw your consent and just not watch this mess anymore, not be a spectator, withdraw all of your power from it, go about your daily life, hanging out with your family, building your business, repairing things around the house, going on vacations with your family, living life, still knowing what's going on. Then there's probably like the extra active participant. The active participant that's saying, yo, I'm taking this to a whole nother level. I'm going to tell people about what's going down. I'm going to make plans to move my family out of this suburban nightmare. I was watching The Burbs yesterday with my daughter. And it's kind of funny how much truth is kind of subtly slipped in there. But I think you really got to get out, folks. You got to get out of that mess at some point in the game. So I think being sort of that extra active participant in this whole thing, A, you know it's a sham, a hustle, a dodge, and a con. You don't even bother with it anymore. B, you're not just passively looking at it go by. I mean, that's kind of a role of A. But B, you're not just watching it go by because you're aware there's a bunch of buoy, right? Bunch of hooey. C, you're doing all the obvious stuff. You're drinking the filtered water. You're not eating the GMO. I would go even a further level with this and just say you're not even engaging with idiots anymore. Me and my friend were talking about this just the other day. At a certain point, it's put up or shut up. If you don't know this, you're not going to know this. So I would go even further and say you've got to stop even engaging with idiots. Just don't worry about idiots. Don't waste your time. These are the people that played while the boat went down. You know what I'm saying? These are the people that were still, playing dice in the corner while gunshots rang out in the park. There's nothing you can do to save some people. Only Christ can save everyone. And in my humble opinion, there's not very many people on this earth at this point in the game that can be saved. So you either know it or you don't at this point. It's not like you're reading a pack of cigarettes and like, holy shit, this stuff's bad for you, So you just quit engaging with idiots, I would say. If you have to engage with idiots, I realize there's a big swath that, you got a job doing X, Y, Z. You got to talk to people every day. Fine. Just talk to them. That's fine. But if these certain topics get brought up, I humbly just plead ignorant on all of it. I just act completely shocked about anything. So people are like, did you hear about the secession? I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't know anything about that, man. I've been home like smoking weed and playing Xbox. I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Just plead idiot if you have to. That's fine. It's perfectly normal at this point in the game. So I would say circle the wagons here. Disassociate yourself from idiots and concentrate on the people that do matter in your life. And it's going to be a small, small circle. I think people get caught up with this nonsense of like, oh, I need all these friends. Oh, look at all these people, doing all this stuff that's so wonderful and great. Folks, nobody really is. I'm sorry. If you're just posting that kind of hooey all the time, it's hooey all the time, right? The proverbial bleep happens to everyone. Okay? Nobody's got 30 friends. Nobody's living in this utopian world of, oh, everyone's just like me. All my friends just went out for drinks. All my friends went to the beach. All my friends went on vacation. That's a bunch of horsepucky folks, okay? So if you've got a small circle of just a few good friends, and I'm talking real ones, just focus on that, okay? Don't focus on this other hooey. If you don't even have that, fine. Focus on thyself. Focus on building whatever things that you need within yourself. If you can find people of like mind that aren't feds, congratulations. That's going to be a hard find in 2024. I'm just telling you. And be very careful about what you let in. Be careful about what you ingest. What you let in your home, what you let in your mind, what you let in your vision and in your ears. It's all part of this program, folks. It's a programming op. So the more dark mess you let in, the more dark mess you're going to have to deprogram and get out. Just don't do it. So that would be my take on this whole thing. There's a lot more things that you can do, but those are the obvious things that you should be doing already. To avoid the American soap opera sideshow. And I'll throw a sideshow in there because, man, we are full of more freaks than a daggum circus, folks. There's another niche that has been filled by society. The circuses are all gone, or at least most of them that I know about. But the freak show has made its way out into the street. You got people wearing tails. You got people chopping stuff off and stapling stuff on, folks. It is a freak show, sideshow out here. And everybody's just worried about their player in the soap opera. Oh, what's going to happen with Luke and Laura this time? Oh, my gosh, is Asa Buchanan coming back or is he just gone forever, huh? Worried about nonsensical mess that don't matter and don't really concern you. Just doesn't. Don't let yourself get caught up in some nonsense that don't have nothing to do with you. I've done that in the past. And I hate to say it, but I think a lot of those folks with the best of intentions on January 6th let themselves get caught up in some nonsense that in the end did not matter. Now, I'm not saying those are bad people. I'm not saying they did bad things. I'm saying people got caught up in some stuff. And it's real easy when you get out there in the stuff to get caught up in that follow the leader mentality, that group think. Easy. I've seen it happen, folks. So the best way to avoid that is just to not freaking be there. Again, a friend of mine and I often say this, man, it's going to be hard pressed to get into some mess if you're locked at the house by yourself. Okay? with your family and loved ones. It's going to be a hard problem that comes all the way up in there and gets you. It's much easier. You get out into the street, you start doing some dumb mess. You start interacting with some dumb people. You put yourself in a dumb situation. Because people are Looney Tunes, folks. So you get out there and start engaging people. Oh, I'm going to make this video on the street. I'm going to change people's minds. People are going to watch my content. They might, or you just might end up in prison. Okay? So these are calls that only you can make. But you got to make them. Because this ain't the 80s. This ain't even the horrible 90s. It's a different time, different space. And you got to really take into account the things that you're listening to and watching, I think, as well. Because the more and more stuff I see out there, the more and more I see that it is complete hooey. Complete boulder dash. And that goes for the right and the left. And I'm gonna hack some people off, but I think there's a whole lot on the right that are bought and paid for and sold, just like those clowns on the left. Because it's almost comical that you see all the people on the right pushing the same agendas right about now. Cult anyone? Pushing the same nonsense, man. There's very little divergency of thought here anymore. There's people kissing the boot of the government rather than those same folks that you saw in the 90s questioning the motivations, and operations of the government. That should give you a pause right there. And you got to understand that so much of this is manufactured. So much of this is really coming from a multi-million-dollar marketing plan. Just is. I laughed out loud the other day because I saw a comment on my thing because, of course, I was making fun of the Trump cult. And somebody was calling me some sort of shill. I was government funded or something. I was like, really? I can't wait to get those residuals because I'd love to see it, really. It'd be kind of cool, actually, to get paid, but it made me laugh. Because while there's people putting out pretty darn good content and not making butt kiss, you got people like this, I don't know if I'm bringing this up, the girl with the cowboy hat that's talking about spitting, you know the one. Yeah, she's somehow parlayed that into some big multi-million-dollar campaign, And yes, admittedly, all this, like, oh yeah, she's got marketing, she's got agents, she's got the whole nine, she's all this and that and the other. It's like, what? And it's not jealousy. It's just, you've got to ask questions at some point, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to question what's going down. Like, what? There's people doing far better work than I am that aren't getting any views. But we just need to talk about that, and the world is your oyster, I suppose. Yeah, you got to wonder sometimes, folks, if the things that you're getting shown and the messages that are being delivered are the messages and things that they want you to see. Makes sense to me now, doesn't it? To you? Because things like the church committee hearings and everything are often referenced as they should. But Operation Mockingbird didn't end then. It's being used now more than ever. It's more user-friendly now than ever, because Operation Mockingbird at that point in game was talking about 3 major television outlets, and then, of course, the movies and the print media and the like. But now, folks, it's easier than ever to accomplish Operation Mockingbird. So if you think that went away, you're vastly mistaken. Vastly mistaken. We'll do in a whole nother episode, and we'll talk about this whole Microsoft thing that just happened to go down a couple days ago. We'll also make some connections to the Gen X popular media and what we're sing today and what we saw in the past. But I'll have to save that for another day because, alas, today has come to a close. At least for me in this regard. You can't do everything, but you can do something. Please try to get out there, do your part, make a difference. And I'll be seeing you sooner than later in the Anomic Age.
Thank you for listening to The Anomic Age, a John Age project. For past shows, further info, and to comment, go to anomicage.com. That's ANOMICAGE.com. Till next time, thank you for listening to The Anomic Age.